Welcome to our deep dive into the origins of Black people as depicted in the Bible. Today, we'll explore the biblical narratives, historical contexts, and modern interpretations to uncover a more nuanced understanding of what the Bible really says about the origins of Black people. The opening chapters of Genesis in the Bible present a profound narrative about the origins of humanity through the figures of Adam and Eve. The creation of Adam and Eve is depicted as a singular event from which all humanity descends. This concept is crucial in understanding the Bible's perspective on race and ethnicity. It implies a common ancestor for all people, regardless of their racial or ethnic background. The Garden of Eden, as described in these chapters, is often seen as a metaphor for a state of innocence and purity. The narrative delves into themes of temptation, choice, and the resulting fall from grace, which are interpreted in various ways across different cultures and epochs. These themes speak to universal human experiences, transcending time and place. In the aftermath of the Great Flood, as depicted in the Bible, we encounter the pivotal figures of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Their descendants, detailed in the Table of Nations, form a complex tapestry that represents the post-Diluvian rebirth of humanity. This genealogical account in Genesis 10 is not just a mere listing of names, it's a narrative rich in symbolism and cultural significance, offering insights into the ancient world's understanding of ethnicity and diversity. The Table of Nations serves as a bridge between the universalism of the flood narrative and the particularism of the subsequent stories of the Israelites. It presents a panoramic view of the ancient world as perceived by the biblical authors, categorizing the known peoples into three broad familial groups. These groups are often thought to represent the ancestors of various ethnic and geographic populations, with Shem traditionally associated with West Asia, Japheth with Europe, and Ham with Africa. This genealogical mapping is not merely an attempt to trace the physical lineage of nations, but also serves as a theological and symbolic framework for understanding the relationships between different peoples. The narratives weave together folklore, cultural memory, and theological motifs, creating a world where every nation has a place in the divine plan. The story of Ham and his son Canaan, found in the book of Genesis, has been one of the most contentious and misinterpreted narratives in the Bible. This passage, which briefly describes how Noah cursed Canaan, the son of Ham, has historically been misconstrued to suggest a divine sanction for the enslavement and subjugation of Black people. This misinterpretation, deeply ingrained in certain historical contexts, has had far-reaching and detrimental consequences. The Curse of Ham narrative was often cited in justifying slavery, particularly from the 18th to the 19th centuries. Proponents of slavery argued that Black people were descendants of Ham, specifically through his son Canaan, and were thus destined to be servants, as per Noah's curse. This interpretation, however, is a significant distortion of the biblical text. Notably, the Bible never states that Ham was cursed. It was Canaan who was cursed. Moreover, there is no mention of race, skin color, or slavery in the context of this curse in the biblical narrative. Modern biblical scholarship has rigorously challenged and debunked this interpretation. Scholars point out that the narrative was likely intended as an etiological story, explaining the historical tensions between the Israelites and the Canaanites. The curse was not about race, but about the political and territorial conflicts of the time. The Queen of Sheba, a powerful and wealthy ruler, is believed to have come from the ancient kingdom of Sheba. While the exact location of Sheba is debated among scholars, it is often associated with modern-day Ethiopia or Yemen. This ambiguity adds a layer of mystique to the story, inviting a closer look at the historical and archaeological evidence to discern the origins of this enigmatic figure. Her journey to meet Solomon was not just an act of political alliance, but a quest for wisdom and understanding. The biblical account describes a series of exchanges between the queen and Solomon, wherein they test each other's knowledge and wisdom. This intellectual and philosophical dialogue underscores the respect and admiration between two great leaders and civilizations. The significance of this story in the context of African presence in the Bible cannot be overstated. It highlights the interaction between African and Israeli cultures, challenging the often Eurocentric interpretations of biblical narratives. The Queen of Sheba represents a powerful and influential African figure whose story intertwines with the central narrative of the Israelite kingdom. Moreover, the story has had a profound impact on various cultural and religious traditions. In Ethiopian Christian tradition, for instance, it is believed that the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon had a son, Menelik I, who became the first emperor of Ethiopia, thus establishing a link between the Ethiopian monarchy and the Davidic line of Israel. This connection is deeply ingrained in Ethiopian history and identity. Ethiopia, referred to as Cush in the Bible, plays a more substantial role in biblical narratives than is often recognized. This ancient kingdom, with its rich history and culture, features prominently in various biblical passages, offering insights into the interactions and perceptions between the biblical world and Africa. The term Cush in the Hebrew Bible generally refers to regions south of Egypt, encompassing modern-day Ethiopia and parts of Sudan. This geographical area, known for its wealth and military prowess, is mentioned several times, painting a picture of a significant and respected power in the ancient Near Eastern world. One of the most notable references to Ethiopia in the Bible is in the book of Isaiah, where Ethiopia is mentioned as a nation swift with boats and feared far and wide. This depiction aligns with what is known historically about the Ethiopian kingdom's prowess in trade and warfare. Such references not only underscore Ethiopia's importance in the ancient world, but also demonstrate the interconnectedness of different regions in biblical times. Another significant biblical account involving an Ethiopian is the story of the Ethiopian eunuch in the Book of Acts. This story is pivotal in the Christian narrative as it represents the spread of Christianity beyond the Jewish community. The Ethiopian eunuch, a high official under the Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, is baptized by Philip, symbolizing the inclusivity of the Christian message. This narrative highlights the early connections between the Christian faith and Africa, indicating that Christianity had followers and influence in Ethiopia from its earliest days. Furthermore, Ethiopia's biblical presence is often associated with piety and devotion. Psalms and prophetic books frequently mention Ethiopia in contexts that suggest a reverence for the God of Israel. This portrayal is significant as it challenges some modern perceptions of the ancient world as being strictly divided along religious lines. Beyond the well-known Ethiopian narratives, the Bible encompasses a range of African figures and stories, highlighting a richly multicultural ancient world. African characters in the Bible are not mere peripheral figures. They play crucial roles in various narratives. For instance, Moses, one of the central figures of the Old Testament, is closely associated with Africa through his Cushite wife, Zipporah. This connection not only situates Moses within a multicultural context, but also illustrates the interaction between Israelites and neighboring African communities. The story of Joseph sold into slavery and eventually rising to a position of power in Egypt is another significant narrative. Egypt, a civilization that has long fascinated historians and archaeologists, is depicted in the Bible as a place of both refuge and oppression for the Israelites. The complex relationship between Israel and Egypt, as depicted in the Bible, mirrors the historical interactions between these regions. The African presence is also felt in the New Testament. Simon of Cyrene, an African man, is compelled to help Jesus carry his cross, a moment that has been immortalized in Christian art and theology. This brief yet impactful mention signifies the presence and involvement of Africans in key biblical events. Our exploration reveals that the Bible offers a rich tapestry of narratives, characters, and historical contexts, rather than a single, unambiguous account of the origin of Black people. We encourage you to dive deeper into this fascinating topic. Share your insights, questions, and perspectives in the comments. Consider engaging with scholarly works, attending lectures, or participating in discussions to enrich your understanding of the diverse interpretations and historical contexts of the Bible.